You know that moment when everyone around you is panicking, voices rising, chaos spreading like wildfire through a room, and you just sit there, steady, collected, the eye of the storm. People look at you with relief, sometimes even admiration. How do you stay so calm, they ask, as if it's a superpower, as if it's a choice. But here's what they don't see. The way your chest tightens when you're alone. The way you lie awake at 3 a.m. replaying conversations, wondering if you should have reacted differently. The way you feel like you're watching your own life through soundproof glass, observing your emotions from a safe distance, because getting too close feels dangerous, terrifying even. You've become so good at being calm that you've forgotten what it feels like to truly let go, to scream, to cry without measuring the volume, to be angry without immediately analyzing whether your anger is justified. You've mastered the art of emotional regulation to such a degree that you no longer know where regulation ends and suppression begins. And here's the paradox that will define everything we explore today. The very mechanism that once protected you, that helped you survive chaos, criticism, or instability, has now become your prison. Your calmness isn't peace. It's a performance. A vigilance so constant, so automatic, that you've mistaken it for personality. You've confused the armor for the skin. The truth is, people who are always calm aren't naturally serene. They're naturally scared. Scared of what might happen if they lower the drawbridge to their inner fortress. Scared that beneath the calm exterior lies something uncontrollable, something unacceptable, something that might make them unlovable. So they've learned to keep the gate locked even when there's no army at the door, even when they're alone. This is the story of how survival became suffering, how strength became isolation, how the thing that saved you is now the thing slowly suffocating you. Let's start by understanding what's actually happening beneath the surface. Because perpetual calmness isn't a personality trait, it's a nervous system adaptation, and it likely began long before you were old enough to name it. In developmental psychology, there's a concept called affect regulation, the ability to modulate emotional responses to maintain psychological stability. For most people, this develops gradually through co-regulation with caregivers who mirror, validate, and help process their emotions. But for you, something different happened. Perhaps you grew up in an environment where emotions were weaponized, where anger meant danger, where sadness was met with dismissal or punishment. Perhaps you were the child who learned that your emotional needs made things worse, so you stopped having them. Or perhaps you witnessed such intense dysregulation in others that you unconsciously vowed never to lose control the way they did. What emerged was a process psychologists call hypervigilant emotion suppression, a constant internal surveillance system designed to detect and neutralize emotional intensity before it can escape. Think of it like having a security guard stationed at the border of your consciousness, scanning every feeling for threat level, deciding what's safe to express and what must be contained. This guard never sleeps, never takes a vacation, and over time this constant monitoring becomes so automatic that you don't even realize it's happening. Here's where it gets neurologically fascinating. Chronic emotional suppression actually rewires your brain's default mode network, the neural system responsible for self-referential processing and emotional awareness. Studies using fMRI technology show that people who habitually suppress emotions demonstrate reduced activity in the insula and anterior cingulate cortex, regions critical for interoceptive awareness. your ability to sense what's happening inside your body. In simpler terms, you've become so skilled at not feeling that your brain has literally turned down the volume on your internal emotional radio. But there's another layer. This pattern often develops alongside what attachment theory identifies as dismissive avoidant attachment. This isn't about being cold or uncaring. It's about learning that emotional independence is safer than emotional intimacy. That needing nothing from others protects you from disappointment. That being the calm one means never being the burden. So, you became the person others lean on while you leaned on nothing. No one. The psychological term for this is affect isolation, the unconscious separation of thoughts from their associated feelings. You can talk about painful experiences with an eerie composure because you've learned to store the memory in one compartment and the emotion in another. It's a brilliant defense mechanism. It's also a devastating one. Because when you lose access to your pain, you also lose access to your joy. When you suppress anger, you simultaneously suppress passion. When you lock away your tears, you lock away your laughter too. Emotions don't work like separate files in a cabinet. They're all interconnected. Numb one, and you numb them all.
Let me tell you what this really costs. And I mean the price that compounds over years, the interest that accrues in silence, the debt you didn't know you were accumulating. It costs you connection, real, vulnerable, messy connection. Because intimacy isn't built on composure, it's built on revelation. When you're always the calm one, people don't see you. They see a function, a resource, the person who handles things. And you've become so comfortable in that role, so identified with being unshakable, that the thought of falling apart in front of someone feels like betrayal, like failure. So you keep your breakdowns private, your doubts hidden, your fears minimized. And slowly, imperceptibly, you become lonely in rooms full of people who think they know you. It costs you your body, because emotions that aren't expressed don't disappear. They descend. They migrate from your consciousness into your shoulders, your jaw, your stomach. Psychosomatic research has extensively documented this. Chronic emotional suppression correlates with higher rates of hypertension, gastrointestinal disorders, chronic pain, and autoimmune conditions. Your body is trying to speak the truths your mouth won't say. The tension headaches are the screams you've swallowed. The digestive issues are the grief you refuse to digest. The fatigue is the weight of emotions that have nowhere to go. And perhaps most tragically, it costs you your sense of self. When you've spent years, maybe decades, performing calmness, you forget what you actually feel beneath the performance. Who are you when you're not managing everyone else's emotional temperature? What do you want when you're not calculating the safest, most reasonable response? What would you do if you weren't afraid of your own intensity? Carl Jung once wrote, "There is no coming to consciousness without pain." And this is the pain you've been avoiding, the pain of meeting yourself without the armor, the pain of discovering that beneath the calm exterior isn't something monstrous, but something deeply, achingly human, something that desperately needs to be seen, not as composed, but as complete. This is what philosophers call the violence of self-erasure, the slow death that comes from prioritizing peace over truth, harmony over authenticity. You've been so busy being acceptable that you forgot to be actual, so busy being calm that you forgot to be alive. And here's the cruelest irony. You thought if you stayed calm enough, controlled enough, reasonable enough, you'd finally be safe. You'd finally be loved without condition. But the opposite happened. The more you perfected your calmness, the more isolated you became. Because love doesn't grow in the absence of risk. It grows in the presence of truth. And you've been hiding your truth for so long that even you don't recognize it anymore.
So, what does this look like in adult life? How does this childhood adaptation manifest in the person you've become? You might find yourself in relationships where you're the emotional anchor, but never the emotional recipient. You're the one people call in crisis, but when you're struggling, you minimize it. You say, "I'm fine," with such conviction that people believe you, and part of you resents them for not seeing through it. You become attracted to partners who are emotionally expressive, sometimes even volatile, because their intensity gives you permission to feel by proxy. But you never match their emotional energy. You stay steady, you stay safe. And eventually, they feel like they're in a relationship with a therapist, not a partner. You might struggle with anger in particular, not because you never feel it, but because you've labeled it as the most dangerous emotion. So when anger arises, you immediately translate it into something more acceptable: disappointment, concern, tiredness. You've become fluent in the language of emotional dilution. Someone crosses a boundary, and instead of anger, you feel tired. Someone betrays you, and instead of rage, you feel understanding. Your anger has been so thoroughly suppressed that it emerges only as passive aggression, chronic tension, or sudden, disproportionate reactions to minor triggers, the emotional equivalent of a dam breaking. You might struggle with spontaneity in play, because letting go, truly letting go, requires trusting that you can lose control and find your way back. But for you, control isn't optional, it's survival. So you overplan. You create contingencies for contingencies. You struggle with activities that require unself-conscious abandon. Dancing, singing, even laughing freely feels somehow dangerous. People might describe you as serious or intense, which is ironic because you're desperate to be light. You just don't know how to be light without being reckless, and recklessness terrifies you. You might experience alexithymia, difficulty identifying and describing your own emotions. When someone asks how you feel, you genuinely don't know. You've become so skilled at bypassing your emotional system that it's atrophied. So you intellectualize, you analyze, you describe what you think about your feelings rather than what you actually feel. Your emotional vocabulary consists of fine, good, tired, and stressed. A four-word prison that can't possibly contain the complexity of your inner world. You might self-sabotage moments of peace. This one is particularly insidious when life finally stabilizes. When things are genuinely calm, you feel anxious, restless, like something's wrong, because your nervous system was calibrated for crisis. It learned to function in chaos. Actual peace feels unfamiliar, suspicious, like the calm before a storm. So you unconsciously create problems, pick fights, find reasons to worry, because being vigilant for danger feels safer than trusting stillness. You might struggle to accept help or show vulnerability. Being the calm one means being the capable one, the reliable one, the one who has it together. So when you're struggling, admitting it feels like character failure. You've internalized the belief that needing support equals weakness, that asking for help is imposing, that your needs are less important than your function. So you suffer privately, you solve problems alone, and you wonder why you feel so profoundly lonely despite being surrounded by people. You might experience periodic emotional numbness or dissociation. There are days, maybe weeks, where you feel nothing at all, not calm, empty. Like you're watching your life through a fog, going through the motions, saying the right things, but feeling profoundly disconnected from it all. This is your psyche's last resort protection. When emotion suppression isn't enough, you disconnect from feeling altogether. Psychologists call this depersonalization, but it feels like living as a ghost in your own life.
So how do you begin? How do you unlearn something that's been operating on autopilot for decades? First, you start by acknowledging the truth we've been circling this entire time. Your calmness has been brave, but it's also been exhausting, and you're allowed to be tired of it. The healing begins with what psychologists call inner child reparenting, not as some abstract concept, but as a practical, tender process of giving yourself what you didn't receive. This means learning to talk to yourself the way a safe caregiver should have talked to you. When emotions arise, instead of immediately suppressing them, you pause. You place a hand on your chest. You say, "I see you. I hear you. It's safe to feel this." You become the witness your younger self never had. It means practicing titrated emotional expression, learning to feel in doses you can manage. You don't have to go from zero to complete emotional release. You can start small. Write angry letters you never send. Scream in your car. Let yourself cry for just 5 minutes. The goal isn't catharsis, it's practice. You're teaching your nervous system that emotional expression doesn't equal annihilation, that you can open the pressure valve slightly without the whole system exploding. It means engaging in shadow work, Jung's concept of integrating the disowned parts of yourself. Your shadow isn't your bad side, it's your unexpressed side. The anger you've deemed unacceptable, the neediness you've labeled weak, the intensity you've called too much. Healing means bringing these parts into the light, not to unleash them destructively, but to integrate them authentically. To recognize that you contain multitudes, and calmness is just one color in a full emotional spectrum. It means choosing radical softness in a world that rewards your hardness. Because everyone benefits from your calmness except you. Your family needs you steady, your workplace needs you unflappable, your friends need you composed. But you need you honest. And honesty might look like saying, "I can't be your anchor right now, I'm drowning too." It might look like crying in public. It might look like admitting you don't have the answer. And that will feel vulnerable and terrifying and like you're failing everyone. You're not. You're finally including yourself in the list of people who deserve your care. Most importantly, it means understanding that the goal isn't to become emotional, it's to become integrated. You're not trying to swap one extreme for another. You're trying to access the full range of your humanity. To be calm when calm is authentic, and intense when intensity is true. To respond from choice rather than conditioning. The psychiatrist and philosopher R.D. Laing once wrote, "The range of what we think and do is limited by what we fail to notice. And because we fail to notice that we fail to notice, there is little we can do to change until we notice how failing to notice shapes our thoughts and deeds." You've spent so long not noticing your own emotional suppression that you've mistaken it for who you are. But it's not who you are. It's what you learned to do. And anything learned can be unlearned. Here's the truth that will set you free. You are not calm, you are afraid. And there is profound courage in admitting that. The person you're looking for isn't buried beneath layers of emotion waiting to explode. They're buried beneath layers of control waiting to exhale. The person you're afraid of becoming if you let go isn't real. It's a specter, a fear, a story you told yourself to justify the walls. The person you actually are is someone who feels deeply, hurts intensely, loves desperately, and has been doing an exhausting job of pretending otherwise. So maybe it's time to stop pretending. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly, incrementally, courageously, one honest feeling at a time. Because wholeness isn't about being fixed, it's about being complete. And you can't be complete while parts of you are still locked in a basement labeled too dangerous to feel. Your calmness was never a flaw,
but your fear of your own depth is costing you your life. If this resonated with you, if